Welcome to Socially Acceptable, the show that humanizes influence the LA way. I'm Miss Corrie Renee.
And I'm SB Press. And again, thank you guys for tuning in as always.
Yes.
It's not about us, it's about all of us. So come on in, be a part of this.
Come
you
on
already
now.
know what's up. And we're going to definitely also thank who is here.
Okay.
Our proud sponsors.
Yes.
Dead Fresh Crew.
Yeah.
Stussy.
Of course.
King Vision.
Yes.
Happy Dad.
Oh.
Kelly Fino,
We love them.
Shoe Pugs.
Mm-hmm.
King Vision. And many more to come. Many more.
Please.
And
thank you. You know, we love everyone who loves us. Mm-hmm. So pull up. You know what I'm saying? Socially acceptable.
Throw it in. So, would you like to start with your emoji first? Corrie?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So my emoji for the first time ever is the star emoji.
Ooh, the star eyes?
Yes, the star eyes.
I looked at that a couple times.
Did
I felt it for you though because you've been killing it. You've been killing it.
I mean, just like overall, like not anything specific. Everything has been so amazing, but I just feel like God is just like, Corrie, I want you to understand that the path that I do have for you is extremely bright. So I just need you to go ahead and learn how to receive. This is your season of receiving. Yes. So make it look good. And I said, okay.
You do that. Show.
What's your emoji?
Mine is going to be the lock.
Okay. Clink, clink.
Fully locked in physically, emotionally, spiritually, faith-wise.
Yeah.
Locked in with our progression, with my individual progression as well, and just looking very forward to what the future has to hold for us.
Yes.
Definitely.
I love that for you.
Yeah. I've been working, and getting back right all the way.
Come on.
Okay.
Romeo says hi.
Telling myself what's up.
Yeah.
I'll be telling myself what's up in person because I do got something to give out there.
Okay. Yeah. Romeo, you heard that.
Yeah,
okay,
bringing
now.
the pug bag. Yeah. All right, Queen. Let the world know who our special guest is in the building.
All right.
Yeah, one time for the one time.
Well, our next guest, I'm over here boxing, but you know, he actually writes books.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And you know, we both from the land, okay? Inglewood. And this young man, he's actually from Pasadena.
That's right.
Right. So he's not only cultured from within, but he's cultured from without. Okay. He can see the flip side of the coin.
Yes, I love
it. Oh my gosh. So I'm really excited to talk about it. And let's just jump right in and welcome Aaron Phillip Clark.
Thank you for having me. This is already off to a good start.
Yay!
I like the energy. Energy is good.
And it's very, very genuine and just happy to have you here, man. You're a busy individual. So for you to take out the time to really sit down with us and express and showcase everything you have in store, it's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the X factor of this episode is elevation. Elevation. Now, when you hear elevation, personally, what does that mean to you? Is it a responsibility? Is it craft? What does it truly mean to you, and how do you define it?
I would say it's both of those. So for me, I think of elevation. I think of, I probably first go to a place of where I started. And, writing is work. So, people don't understand. It's a very isolating, you're in a room. Sometimes I write for 5-6 hours straight, taking short breaks. But if I'm on a deadline, that's what I have to do, and still have time for my life. And so carving out that time to really do that takes a lot. But the payoff is huge. And so when I think of elevation, I think of those sacrifices that I make. Maybe I can't attend certain things people invite me to because I'm on a deadline. Maybe it's somebody's birthday party. Sometimes it's big stuff, but I have to say, look, I can come for 30 minutes and then maybe I got to go. But those sacrifices have allowed me to have the life that I want using my art and creativity. And that's always the goal, right? Writers is being a writer is it's not glamour. You know what I mean? There's no red carpet. You know what I mean? So we do this and we share our stories and we do it out of love because, that's really what it comes down to. You know, you can't go platinum off of a book. I mean, you can sell a lot of books and
Bestseller.
do very well, you know, but the idea is that you're only as good as the last book. You know, it's kind of like the film industry. So, you know, one of my favorite writers, Walter Mosley, I had the pleasure to interview him a few times. And there's instances where Walter doesn't even take his advance because they're like, oh, we don't know about this. Is a little different. We don't know how it's going to, you just keep the money, because it's more about getting it out there so that people can experience that story. And so for me, you know, that's like the epitome of elevation. And when you get to that point where you're just like, actually, I don't need the advance, you know, I just want the book out. That's cool, you know, and that would be, that's where I would want to be at some point, you know. That's what I strive for in my career, to be like, you know, I just want to tell this story. And, you know, if the publisher believes in me, that's cool. And if they don't, and they're kind of like on the fence, I want to be able to say like, hey, you put it out, you know, I'll promote it myself, and then, you know, let that be it. And you know, so that's kind of that's my idea, but also elevation in the sense of um just improving as a storyteller.
Right.
So there's a lot of stories out there that I think don't get shine because sometimes publishers might be scared. So they'll put it out, you'll sign your publishing agreement, but doesn't mean they're gonna promote it. So if they're kind of on the fence or they're scared, those books don't see the light of day. And so, you know, I want to get to the point where I have the freedom to tell my story. Um, and Spike Lee said this, and I agree with him 100%. But he said, when it comes to Black art, we don't always have the freedom to tell our stories. We have to tell our stories in spite of. So in spite of not getting the same amount of money that a white author might get, or in spite of not getting the same amount of promotion, it's always in spite of. It's never like, here you go, run with it. So that's why, like, when Ryan Coogler got his Sinners deal, was so amazing.
Yes.
Because they were like, hey, here you go, you know what I mean? Run with it. People forget Jordan Peele for Get Out. He only got $5 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no money, and it made, I think, 127 million. So when we actually have support behind us, we do incredible things, and regardless.
Yes.
But when we actually have that support, that's a beautiful thing.
I agree 1,000%. I heard you speak earlier in regards to wanting to be in a certain space of elevation to where it's like, just do you put it out and you're able to be creative as you want, free range. So, with you being in the journey that you're in now, what do you think it's going to take to get you to that position?
Probably time. That's all. Having the time to write the books. That's truthfully what it is. Because I have tons of stories. I have journals of outlines and stuff that I started, but then, and this is not a negative, but sometimes it'll be a situation where someone will say, hey, can you collaborate on this book? Or can you ghostwrite this book? So now I got to put what I was doing aside, and I have to have it's like flipping a switch. So all the energy and the passion that I have for this story and these characters are living in my head for months. Now I got to jump over here to something that somebody else has kind of created, and then I got to find my into that world. And so, you know, it's almost like now what I was working on is sidelined. And then when I go back to it, maybe I don't feel the same way. I got to find the passion for it again, you know. And so sometimes that could be difficult. And so I think just being able to write as much as I can, but still, you know, enjoy life. You know, I wrote 3 books in 1 year, and that was incredible and stressful, and I would never do it again. But part of it, the situation, is just how the deadlines fell. But it was like nice to see that I could do it if I really had to. I don't want to do it, but it was like one of those challenges where you're like, I wonder what's going to happen at the end of it. It's like, are they going to be any good? And I, you know, I felt like they were solid, you know, because I had written, you know, one for 50, and then I was writing for myself.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
You wrote a book for 50 Cent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. We got an author in the house. Huh?
So I was writing. Yeah, so I was finishing that. I was writing this book, The Bluest Night, and then I was collaborating and assisting Brother Ben Crump on his book, and so I was doing all of that at the same time. So
you spoke to helping others. How important is it to remain yourself even though you're helping someone else?
yeah, I mean, it's all about boundaries because as a writer, I encounter people who come to me and they say, especially after collaborating with 50, I got this kept happening. But people who say, I have this idea, and you know, maybe in their heads they kind of started on it, and they'll say, hey, can you help me with this? Right? Can you? And then it translates to, can you write this for me? That's really what they're saying.
What I really mean is,
what they're really saying is, can you write this? And so I want to help people as much as I can, but I always tell them, like, well, if you're really interested, I could work with you as a consultant. But when it comes to writing stuff for people, that doesn't even go through me. That's what I have agents and managers for. So they deal with that stuff. So I do not get involved, So it's more of like people have hired me to help them on their path. And that's really what it's about. Because what good is it if you really want to be a writer and you're serious about it? Then you shouldn't have me write it anyway.
Right.
So the whole thing is finishing a book is a gift you give yourself, because once you finish it, you can write another one and another one. So I tell my students all the time, once you finish it, you don't understand what you're doing. Like when you type the end, then that's when you understand at that moment, like you're going to do this again and it's going to be better. And then you're going to do it again. And that's how careers get built. But you have to first finish that first one is so important. Doesn't matter if it's good. You know what I mean? That's not what it's about. It's about being able to finish something. And most people, a lot of students I deal with, they never get a chance. They give up. They just don't finish. And it's so important to do that. So I try and help people in that way. But also literacy, trying to build literacy, make it hip again to read. They did a survey and they were saying so many the amount of college students who are actually finishing the books, even when they're assigned, has gone down significantly.
Told you.
And so, but I also recognize people read differently now. So it's about really matching technology and doing different things to get people interested. So it's like, why not when you buy a book, you should get the audiobook with it? Because that way, and I think Amazon has started doing this, but you can listen in the car. And then let's say you're in a place where you can't listen, then you'll have the physical copy. I think it should be sold as like a package. And there's a lot of technology that could be leveraged to make it very interesting and engaging. And there's different ideas that I have for this book that's coming out. I have 2 coming out next year, but one is centered on hip hop and it's set in LA. And so, so I really want to do, something where if people are reading the book, I want to have it where we're using augmented reality technology to go around the city and say you put up your iPad or something, and then it'll tell you what happened to this part of the city, and how it relates to this artist, and
That's amazing.
So that's what I want to do, make it more interactive. I think that would be really great for this book that's coming out. So this book that's coming out is called All the Smoke. I'm doing it with HarperCollins, Amistad. So excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited too, and I don't even like to read.
She'll get the audiobook.
Anything about, because I'm an LA baby. We're both LA babies.
Okay.
So anything that has to do with LA, the culture, and just authentically being, who we are, I am all for. And I was like, yes, audiobooks, love it. I was already there. And you took it a step further and say, no, we're going to have visuals. And I'm like, yes.
I want to have visuals. I have friends who are going to be doing a soundtrack for the book as well. So we're working on that. But yeah, that's it. Basically the way I pitch it is if you've seen the movie The Talented Mr. Ripley, or read the book, this is The Talented Mr. Ripley set in the world of hip hop. And it's the idea of someone who is completely fraudulent, who essentially steals the rhyme book of his stepbrother, or more of his foster brother, who ends up going to prison. And then he gets this huge career, all this success based on this this book because he's a terrible writer. He can't do it. He has really no talent, but he can mimic talent. He knows what it looks like.
Mm.
And so when his brother gets out of prison, he comes back for his life. And so now they have to kind of duel. And this particular character, the protagonist in this, he'll do whatever it takes to protect this kind of fraudulent world that he's created.
Mm. I wish we had that in the industry already.
Completely. It will solve a lot of
It would solve so many problems.
So many.
That sounds absolutely incredible. We're gonna definitely talk about more of that to come, but we definitely want to talk about what is current, which is the Bluest Nights. Can you talk a little bit about your growth in putting the end on this book?
Yeah. So let's see. The first Trevor Finnegan book came out in 2021. So that was Under Color of Law, and that was the kind of introduction of Detective Trevor Finnegan, and that really was born out of like my time with as a LAPD recruit, and so I went into the academy in 2014. And so, and I have family members who are in law enforcement, and it was always one of those things where, as a kid, I existed in kind of two worlds. So I was very much, I don't know, type A personality, very organized, very structured, liked structure, did very well, but then also the creative part of me. And so, I had been teaching for a long time. I had been a professor, and so, I had gone to my cousin's graduation from the academy, and so all these sergeants was like, "Oh, how come you not where's why are you doing this?" And so I kind of thought about it, and I was like, I wonder if I entered this arena, what kind of positive impact I would have. Because Eric Gardner, when I went in, had just been murdered by NYPD, and so I'm having a really hard time with it, and so I kept thinking, well, you'll never know unless you try, because maybe I could be a potential answer to some of these problems, right? I could be that solution. Once I got in, I understood the machine was far too big. Far too big.
Is there politics everywhere or what?
So
Yeah.
it was layers and layers of politics, and it wasn't even about being a smart officer. It's about not getting in trouble. And it's a bad sign when officers ask what you're doing there. So
for sure.
Like the same thing you were? What are we talking about?
So when they realized, like, and the thing is, I had already written books. So when they realized that, I had officers. This dude shook my hand. I'll never forget. He shook my hand. He said, "Man, I heard about you." And he looked me dead in my eyes. What are you doing here? So I was like, this is not a good sign, because basically it's saying like this is not for you. Like, go find something else. And so I told myself, I said, well, if I'm not supposed to be here, basically, I said, God, show me a sign. And so we did this training exercise. And when I came down, I injured my lower back. And so I injured one of the plates. It swelled up. I didn't say anything at first because I thought it would go away, and it just got progressively worse. So I basically told them. They realized I wasn't performing, so I told them, and they sent me to the pain clinic and all that stuff. And that's when I went into the pain clinic, and I saw officers who had probably been in there like on pain medication for a really long time. They were grinding their teeth, and so I looked and I was like, nah, because once you get on that stuff, your whole life is changed. And so they were on some really strong stuff. And I walked out and I told my training officers, I was like, nah, I'm good. I was like, I'll go back to teaching or do whatever. But that was the end. So Trevor Finnegan was really born out of what I saw behind the curtain. And so with that first book, he's a police officer. He's a rookie detective. He's not a hero, though. He's one of those people who I think exists in the gray world and in a gray area. He's not good. He's not bad. He's just navigating the system. And he's forced to have to solve a really hard case that if he solves it, he'll implicate himself and basically put the spotlight on something he failed to do and let happen. And so from there, it kicks off to the next book where he's a private investigator. And so by the time we get to The Bluest Night, he's been a private investigator, and he uncovers a really terrible case in Malibu where a young girl has, it's inspired by Matrice Richardson, who went missing in Malibu. and they never really determined if that was a homicide or what. And so it's inspired by that. But his newly discovered brother, half brother, goes missing in Malibu with his girlfriend. And so the story literally kicks off at that moment where they find her body, but they don't find him. And it isn't until they get up to Malibu they find him, and he's been beaten, and he has no recollection of what's happened, and he doesn't even know that his girlfriend is dead. And so Trevor starts to uncover this, and when he does, he uncovers this very just ugly conspiracy that's been happening in Malibu, that concerns people of color who have been abducted. And so, and it's really based on this notion of these homogenous communities where people think it's safe, right? Because everybody looks the same. Everybody comes from the same place. You know, maybe it's overwhelmingly white. They don't lock their doors at night. But what's existing in those communities could be something incredibly insidious, right? It could be, I mean, most of the time that's where serial killers are hanging out, right? Because they know
ain't nobody checking for them.
Nobody's checking for them, and they could do whatever they want. And so that's very much what's going on in this particular story. And so it pushes Trevor to the pretty much to the limit where he thinks this is it. Like, you know, because this was going to be the last one. And then the publisher said, "You got one more." So I said, you know, because he was going right out into the sunset. But I said, I was like, I think I got one more. So,
got one more in me.
You know, so the next one is Blues for the Dead, and that's the fourth one. That's the one I just finished, and that'll be out next year. But that will be the last one. And it was important for me to have him have a happy ending. You know,
thank you, because I'm over here like,
no, he gets. I mean, he has a happy end. I mean, it's not without loss, but he's okay, and his family's okay at the end of it. And I set it up where if I do return to it, he'll probably be international. So he ends up, not to give a whole lot away, but he kind of ends up. It's hinted that he may leave the U.S. And go seek something else. So
now. Incredible.
Right. I'm over here with chills. I'm like, and then what?
What are some of the ways that you keep your pen or pencil sharp to create these magic moments?
Just paying attention, truthfully. You know, as a crime fiction author, I think it's so important to read what's going on. So there's a lot of cases I pulled just from real life. So every book that I've written is inspired by something that really happened. And so it's important for me to spend that time and look sometimes online. It used to be where you could get newspapers ordered from all over the globe, right? And you could just get them shipped. But now with the internet, you just go on, you go to different sites and you can see different stories. And so if something pops out, I save it in a folder, and then maybe I'll come back to it. But normally that's where my inspiration comes from. And then, you know, my novels have they're socially aware.
Yes.
You know, I think to be an artist, you got to know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people out there who are just writing stories because it's fun. You know what I mean? And you can sit down and you can get lost in that, and you can finish it on a flight, you know, from here to New York and be done. And then when it's over, you don't remember anything about that. But I never want to write those books, even if it means I don't sell as many, because I much rather have a story that sticks with somebody. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants cold food. So it's like you could sit there and you could read something and, you know, it might not stick with you. But I want my novels, hopefully, to stick with people and have an impact and make them think.
I'm stuck, so.
Big stuck. I'm like, oh, boy. Well, is it? Is it on me? Well, what I'd like to know is when it comes to the creativity of just being able to, like, put a compilation like this together, could you deep dive a little bit more into the organization process? Because I completely always have different ideas. And once I like think of something and I want to get back to it, I'm just like, it doesn't hit the same. So like, can you give us some tips?
Oh, I got my notes on. So
right, let me go.
You know,
okay.
So for me, organization looks like this. I don't know if you remember, like, in school, those old marble covered composition books.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They were like 99 cents. You get a whole stack of them, right? I start with one of those. So, and part of it is the psychological piece, because I remember using them as a kid. and it's something about it. When I get one of those books, I just can go back in time and I'm free. And sometimes I just write just ideas in there, and I keep it just like, a journal. And they even said Tupac used to have one of these books too. He wrote all his poetry in it. So it was just one of those things where that's where I start. Okay. And I just jot out, different ideas. Maybe I organize maybe a chapter or two. I'll write a line of dialogue. And then that way, if I have to come back to it, I'll remember that dialogue, and it'll kind of jar what I was thinking about that chapter. So even if I don't outline that chapter, but every book is written in one of those composition books. Usually I would say I write 30% of the book by hand. And then when I sit down, I use it as a blueprint, because really the book is made in when you sit down and you really start writing, and then the editing process and all of that. But I don't recommend my style because my style is very, like, it works for me, but I tell my students, like, come up with what works best for you. And sometimes that could be a vision board. I have students, they'll start with visuals.
Yeah.
I have students start with music.
Okay.
So find the song that you think could be almost the soundtrack for what you're writing, and start there. So for All the Smoke, I had nothing but West Coast hits on there.
Can you name some?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So we're talking about I basically, the novel was set at the time where people were getting a lot of deals using YouTube and posting music, MySpace, stuff like that. So I basically put together kind of like a playlist that pays homage. So it's like Razzka is on there, like hip hop artists who just didn't get the shine.
We call those legacy artists.
Legacy artists. That's a very good term for them. Like even Hit Boy. Like I have like Hit Boy on there. And I put classics. I put Dre's on it, NWA's on there. But I try to put myself in the shoes of my main character and think, well, what would he be listening to? Where would he kind of find inspiration to kind of tailor this fraudulent life? So he borrows a little bit here, a little bit there from this artist. So I like how this artist dressed. He's literally a composite of all these different artists using his foster brother's lyrics to create this persona. And so that's kind of how the playlist works. He borrows, like, okay, well, I like how this artist does this. What if I start wearing my hat like that, right? And in the industry, we call that straight up being fraudulent, right? Yeah. That's why 50 went at Ja Rule for wearing the bandana like he was Tupac. Like, you're not Tupac, you know what I mean? But that's what happens. We borrow, we take. We see what works, right? See if we get called out on it. But artists are composites. They're made of all these different things that work for somebody else that you now are trying to recycle and see if it'll work for you. And so I think that's so much of the music industry.
Yeah. I mean, Eminem, he's been open about it. Like, his main source of inspiration is LL Cool J. Like, and he'll be very vocal about it. Like the Kango hat, the big chain. Like, he was like, this is who I am basing my entire career on.
Yeah.
So like, I completely understand. But I ain't mad at that, because at least, like,
he's giving credit.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I feel like if you just say it, that'll spare you so much flack later on. Elvis did it.
Yeah.
He knew most of his sound came from us. And he said, let me go on and tell the truth before the devil come and shame me. Right. Like, so I just feel like, I don't mean to go to church, but I'm just saying, like, I just feel like transparency is so important in everything that we do. So half of the problems wouldn't be existing if y'all just kept it real.
We don't need no more Milli Vanillis.
Oh, wait!
I'm just saying because it's you.
And it's raining outside. Press, you did that on purpose.
You give, just.
I see what you're doing.
She got me. She caught me.
Blame it on
Keeps you on my piece of cheese. For sure. Brother Aaron, you've been amazing keeping it G. But right now, I need you to keep it P with your boy SB Press, all right? So I give you a choice between pleasure, passion, or pain. You pick one, and we'll have something for you to go ahead and share with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pleasure, passion, or pain?
I'll do passion.
There we go. Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yes.
He's the researcher out of the both of us.
Passionate moment. You said church. You know, we bring the Lord in.
Wow.
Alignment. The alignment.
Listen.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Talk about this passionate moment and what it truly meant to you to be a part of this.
Yeah, so this is the christening of my son. So he's 6 now. And so he was an infant. So yeah, like this was one of those things where it was during COVID. It was like and it was almost right before COVID. And it was just a moment where, when you become a dad, it's it changes you in a really fundamental way, if you allow it. Not everybody, but for me, it was like, you make a promise to your kid. And so that's really what I think encapsulates this moment was, I was making a promise to him that no matter what, I would have his back, throughout life. And so, um, we have a really close bond. My son's birthday is like the day after mine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my wife says we the same person, but no.
Not
But
yet. Not yet.
he's emerged as his own. But we have a lot of similarities.
Mhm.
And so even though he's 6, he presents very much as like maybe like 8. And he's a very old soul, and he's really just aware of things. And so even when he was little, I would take him to my book signings, and he would sit right here because it was important for him to see. I said, look, you need to see possibilities. And so that way you'll know anything you ever set your mind to, you can do. And so he's taken that and he's kind of run with that. So he plays piano, at 6, he can. And so it's funny because with his instructor, he'll tell him to play something, and my son will add other stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really good. But can you do it like? And he'll look at him like, well, this is creativity. This is freedom. But he'll add a little something. And at 6, he's already confident in ways that I never was at 6. And so he just walks into a room and just be like, I got this. And whatever he sets his mind to, he is excelled at it. And so it's just an incredible, blessing. And so, writing books is cool, but I would say that my greatest accomplishment would be, being able to be his dad and see him grow and help shape him, in a positive way.
If you could think of 3 characteristics that you want to and continue to instill in your son, what would those 3 things be?
Integrity for one. I always tell him, even if people don't see you do something that is positive, you know what I mean? You're doing it because that's what's in you. And so always carry yourself with integrity. Never just do something because you think it's an opportunity as a come up,
Right.
or you're gonna get something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it because it's the right thing to do. And then also really just being true to himself. And so authenticity is really important. And so, I let him do what if he wants to rock something a certain kind of way, he has his own flavor. I let him do it. You know what I mean? Say, Daddy, can I wear these shoes? Like, unless it's raining out, I'm usually like, okay, you want to rock the Mickey Mouse Crocs. To me, it doesn't match the sweatshirt, because I'm like that. I'm like, but it don't look tight. But I say, you know what? Do it. And then it becomes his own. And he feels he's confident. And so, authenticity is important, And so, and he loves Pokemon. He's written multiple Pokemon comic books.
Many, yeah.
And so I would tell him, always be yourself and be free. And lean into your creativity.
Yeah.
And do your thing. And I would say at the top, the peak, I would say, is leave a mark on the world. So I always tell him, comes home from school, I pick him up, and I say, okay, what did you do that was positive for somebody today? What did you do that was positive for yourself? You know, and then how did that help you have a better day? You know, or did you help someone else have a better day? So leave a mark on that day, you know, so a positive mark, you know, do something to help somebody.
Amen.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
I love that.
You a good dad.
It's the truth, you know. It's not about what you can get from something. It's about what you can give to something, what value you can add.
Yeah, it's enough takers in the world.
Exactly.
I mean, we got enough of that. So I think, you know, it's the opportunity to give back and do something that's going to help people, you know, in some kind of way, you know. And so that's a big part of me as a writer. You know, one of the things I really love about 50 and I admire him was that 50 always saw a long-term goal. A lot of people get into the industry or get into creativity short term. I just got to get some money. I got to do this and make a couple of records. But 50 understood longevity and understood what it took to have longevity. And so a lot of people don't know, but before he was rapping, he was trying to be an amateur boxer. And so, you know, and he would meet people and he would ask to work for free. So this dude who has a company, a private jet company, 50 said, "Yo, can I work for you? Can I just learn?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so to this day, 50 flies when he has to fly on a private jet. He uses that dude's company because that dude put him on and educated him. So knowledge is, you know, it's corny. People hear this all the time. It's cliche, but knowledge really is power. And so if you surround yourself with people who are going to feed into you and give you information, you have to be smart enough to run with that.
There it is.
We all caught up in and everything. Man.
Well, now that we have kept the P with press, it is time to get caught up in the comments with Miss Corrie Renee. And boop, here we are, the Bluest Nights. And the comment below says, "This sounds brilliant." Okay, we've been talking about positivity, leaving a positive mark on the world. What do you feel, in your opinion, the Bluest Night gives positively as it relates to the story and to the world?
I would say it gives hope. So the story of Trevor Finnegan is a story of hope and the ability to change. Because like I said, he doesn't start out as a hero.
Right.
What you're seeing is him become a hero over the course of 4 books. And the last book is when he really, like the whole story is written around this notion that he has emerged as a hero. And, you know, I would say that, you know, it's positive in the sense that Trevor goes through so much. He's really a metaphor for what Black men have to go through, to be honest with you. I mean, he started in the first book, how hard it is to actually be just be a Black person in law enforcement, period. But to be a brother with a conscience and be in that position is even harder. And that's why he doesn't stay, though. He's only a cop in the first book, because you can't exist like that if you have a conscience to the point where you see things that bother you on like a very deep level, like cellular level, like to the point where it's like in your soul and you like, this is wrong. You couldn't keep showing up to work. You could find reasons and stuff and be like, well, you know, that's a one-off, but he sees it as a much bigger thing. So he's like, I can't do that. So how can I make an impact? So he becomes a private investigator. And so I think that, you know, for him, and what I hope people come away with would be that you can endure so much. And because he's a metaphor for the Black experience, he endures a lot, to the point where that's why I can't keep writing it, because it gets to the point where he's a lightning rod for trauma, for horrible things happening. And I don't want people to come away with that.
Right.
He was meant to be probably 4 books max, and that's really what he's going to be. Because I don't want people to think in that term, like, well, the story is always rooted on what he has to go through. But truthfully, this is the story of Black America.
Yes.
Like, we can't run from trauma because it's ingrained in us because of what we've experienced. So, and we still experience it. We experience it every day. We don't really recognize it till you leave the country. So till you go some other place, like we went to Japan, And it was the first time I felt like, oh, I don't have that feeling. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when a police officer drives past, I didn't have it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have that tight, it
Oh,
Oh,
exists.
I
When
know.
they give you
You know
I'm
what I
trying
mean?
to understand
Nerves for
how
no
did you
reason.
like? What does it feel like? Because
It was
I
it
don't
was
know.
it was shocking, and it was sad too, because I said, man, I live with that feeling every single day. We all live with that feeling every single day. Turn on the TV, trauma. What happened to some black person today? What horrible news are you going to tell me about my people today?
Mhm.
Right? So you remove that. And you can get that anywhere. You go to Portugal, you go wherever, and you can escape that. But I encourage everybody to go know what that feels like, the absence of that. And so as I was writing this last book, I said to myself, Trevor Finnegan has to know what that feels like. He's got to go find that, because as long as he's here and experiencing everything that this decadent country has for us, then it's like he's never going to be free. He's never really going to be happy. And so in the book, he talks about the psychological impact of all the things that he has had to do as a police officer, as a private investigator. He doesn't sleep. He has a baby on the way. He can't even focus enough to build the crib.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's like it's a level of like just exhaustion. That's what he feels in this last book. And he's excited. He has his son on the way, but he's like, man, like I'm bringing him into this. You know what I mean? Like, how is this going to go for him? Because I won't be with him 24/7. So for him, he's very much like, there has to be a light, because there has to be a light at the end of this tunnel in some kind of way. And so he decides to go seek that out. And he makes the very difficult decision to stop being a champion for people who have been victimized, and decides, okay, I can't save everybody. I can't get justice for everybody, because justice looks a different way for everybody. We don't always get the same justice that other folks get.
Right.
And so he was that equalizer, for Los Angeles, right? And so he realizes, well, I can't be that and be a father and be a husband and do all this stuff. Both can't exist. I got to pick one. And that's why he's a hero, because he chooses his family, he chooses life and longevity, and the fact that he can circumvent death by passing something on to his son. So, yeah.
My
I got to follow up for
gosh.
that. You spoke a lot about trauma. Is there a personal trauma that you've experienced that you don't want your son to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I lost my dad to cancer at 15. Actually, no, 14 and a half.
He hitting home right now.
Yeah. So for me, it's so important for me to take care of myself, because my dad, he worked a lot, but had a lot of stress, and stress is a killer. So, for him, he was always working, and it was just like, and having to travel, the freeway. And I remember he would come in and he was a Vietnam vet, and he had been exposed to Agent
My
Orange.
grandfather.
So he had headaches all the time, and these would last for weeks. He would go to the doctor. The doctor said, they didn't know what to do, And so I think that it just became very hard for him, and he had to, he had to leave. So he moved us to North Carolina, and so that extended his time because he was out of the stress. But it was one of those things where I said, I made a promise to myself. I was like, nah, not me. So that's why I encourage, our people to eat right, take care of yourself, exercise. My dad always said, I live in my head. He didn't like, he would exercise when he had to, but it reminded him too much of boot camp from being in Vietnam. So I think he didn't like it, but he would do it, but he would eat junk, because it was like he'd be in the car and a big old thing of pork rinds, and I'd be just like, it was like, oh, Dad,
Tearing them up.
but it's like, but you see this, happen. It's like Van Lathan. He did a great documentary on his dad, and his dad loved soul food. And so, he talked about how his dad would say, well, soul food, this is our food. We should eat this. This is part of our culture. And it's like, yeah, but what if that was not the good part? You know what I mean? Like, what if doing that is so detrimental to us, you know? And so that's why I push. I push for us to exercise our bodies and our minds and have some spiritual connection to something,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it's so important, you know, it's just incredibly important. And so, you know, that's really what I encourage my son to do. So I got him into martial arts, boxing, you know, soccer. He does everything. You know, he's riding his bike. And I say, get out the house. We don't have any, like, he has like a little video game system, but it's old. It's an old Atari. And it's the little thing, the joint from the 80s. And he has Centipede. That's what, when he wants to play, is Centipede with the joint. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That's where we're at. So I tell him all the time, I say, like, you want to play? This is what you got. You know, and he loves it. He doesn't know anything about a PlayStation. He doesn't know, because for me, those games take away creativity because they create the world for you. When he's playing 100%. Centipede, it's his imagination of what's going on, where he's like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing this, and I got this spaceship. It's a little dot on a screen, but for him, it's a portal to a whole other world, and he is so satisfied doing that, you know. And so for his birthday, you know, I pulled out the old Nintendo Wii. Now that thing is old. I don't know if people play with it. It's old. But I like it because you have the nunchuck thing and you have to physically do stuff. And so he has to physically move. And so I pulled that out for his birthday, and he's like, you had this? And it was all dusty. I said, yeah. I was like, I said, yeah, man. I said, look, I got all these games. I said, you could knock yourself out. So he's jumping, he's sweating. And I said, see, it's better than you sitting on the couch hitting the, you know? So it's like, and that's a treat for him. But other than that, he spends his time drawing, writing, reading, creating. He's drawing different Pokemon, coming up with stories, creating his own storylines with that, because that's going to serve him far better than the kid that's staring at the pad. You know what I mean? You go to a restaurant and they just deep in it, you know. And for him, he goes to the restaurant, he pulls out his colored pencils.
Good for him.
And that's where he's at. That's what he enjoys. He wouldn't know what to do with himself if he just had technology. He'd be like, what am I going to do with this? You know, to him, the iPad is for communicating, talking to his grandmother.
Right. What it's supposed to be.
You don't know nothing about, you know what I mean? He just knows, okay, I could call, you know, I'll call people on this thing. But that's it. That's all he knows, you know. So being able to, longevity is so important, and being able to facilitate that, I think is where we have to be at, you know. And I stress that for him, you know. And so when he sees me, you know, I get up early, go to the gym, or, you know, we walk the dog, do whatever. I'm up. He has to see me physically doing stuff, you know, and it's important that I get up before he does.
Absolutely.
Because that's a message in that. It's like, nah, sun's out, I'm up. You know what I mean? So like, I'm up doing stuff, cleaning up, doing whatever, and you need to see that I'm active, so you understand what that looks like, you know. And so it's fine. You know, you sleep in because you little, but you see daddy up doing what we need to do. If it's dealing with the car, oil changes, whatever, you see me doing something, you know, and then you see me chill. You have to see all these stages so he understands, because he's learning that way.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Well, thank you for asking that question.
Absolutely. So we are going to go ahead and log out. And in this space of a Socially Acceptable, we basically give back to the audience members. You guys be sure to like, subscribe, and follow Socially Acceptable on all social media platforms.
Getting them DMs.
Yeah. Get in there. Okay. And I want to give a shout out to, it's a new man. Okay. New listener, new audience member. His name is Wreak Havoc.
What?
I'm like, okay. Mr. Wreak Havoc. This is a safe space. We love it. He definitely wanted to know what was going on and what's up next with Mr. Elijah Banks. Ooh. He is one of our LA artists signed to Big Boy.
Okay.
And basically, he has plenty going on. You guys just be sure to follow him on his Instagram at Elijah Banks. He's currently on our social media page going crazy with his clips.
Hosting events.
Yes.
So there's plenty for y'all to see what we got going on.
Yes. His most viral one so far, like the most listened and viewed, is The Gatekeeping. Like that.
Yes.
I think that was the first time it was addressed on this show, and he nailed it.
Yeah.
So really, really happy that someone said it outside of me.
Right. Because that is definitely
That's
a trigger.
big,
Trigger, but it's real.
Yeah.
It's very real. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's real is definitely these amazing books that you are putting together. What can we look forward to in the future?
Yes. So as I said, I have the 4th Trevor Finnegan book, the Blues for the Dead.
Yes.
That is coming out. The current one is Bluest Night, available now, but Blues for the Dead will be out. And then All the Smoke, which is starting the new series, that will be out. And then Saturday, this coming Saturday. Lore Books in historic Leimert Park. We're having a celebration, a Black History Month celebration. It's going to be a couple of artist friends of mine. So it'll be myself. It'll be Gary Phillips, Rachel Housel Hall, and then also brother Eric LaSalle, who aside, so a lot of people might not know, but aside from being a great actor, producer, Emmy winner, Eric writes crime fiction as well. Goodness. And so we're going to be there. We have a moderator, Don Amici. And so
we love that! He was like our second or third episode.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Oh, they see his feet.
So it's gonna be an experience. So I encourage everybody to come out. It's a free event. We'll have wine sponsored by Franzi Wines. We'll have food there, and it's just a beautiful. I mean that Leimert Park is historic, and it's one of my favorite places of the city. So I encourage people to come out, hang out with us. So we're accessible. We'll be signing books. We'll be talking. You can talk to me, talk to my fellow authors about writing. If you're interested in writing and you want to learn more, we will be on hand and accessible. So it's from 1 to 3, and that is at Lore in Leimert Park. Relatively new bookstore, but it's big. It's beautiful in there.
What's the cross street?
Oh, cross street.
So it's right next to the coffee shop.
It's next to Haroon Coffee.
Okay, we know that.
So it's next door to that.
Okay, perfect.
So really like the KBLA, it's like right across the street. So you walk across the street. It's
perfect.
Yeah,
we need landmarks. I'm like, where am I at? Because Leimert is big.
And then it's the skate shop. So on the other side, I can't think of the name, but it's the skate shop, then it's Haroon Coffee, then it's Lore Books.
Okay.
And so we'll be there. It'll be live music as well. A friend of mine, CJ Pizarro, is going to be playing saxophone. He'll also be playing some blues, a little bit of Sinners, if people saw that.
Sinners.
A little
bit of Sinners.
Sinners inspired, so he going to take it back a little bit. He'll have his harmonica, his guitar, and he'll be playing saxophone outside and up and down the street.
Wow.
So I think the weather will be good. And I think it's going to be a wonderful experience. So
absolutely, 1,000%.
1,000%. I started this episode like not too much of a. I'm a creator. I don't like pay attention to the created, but I have to let you know that you have completely changed my heart.
Oh,
and I'm looking forward to reading your book. Dope. Whether it's in the ear or visual, it's gonna get done.
All TV.
Okay. Well, the Bluest Night is out now. Okay.
Lord willing, it will be a TV show soon. So
your camera's right there. Talk to it, speak it to its existence. Okay.
We have had some ups and downs with the Trevor Finnegan series, but my gut tells me we're getting close to it becoming possibly a limited series. Okay. That's the hope. Right now, we're shopping All the Smoke too, as a TV show or film. We'll see what takes. And then, as people should know, The Accomplice is going to be on Peacock, and so I know 50's putting that together. So Taraji P. Henson will be Agent Nia Adams.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So they may go with Agent this time. In the book, she's a Texas Ranger. She's the first Black female Texas Ranger.
She's perfect for
and
that.
So I had to do a lot of research with Texas Rangers and figure that part out. But she's a dynamic character. I think Taraji's going to bring life into her.
I was about to blow up.
And And the thief character Desmond, I don't know who that's gonna be, but you know, I heard different whisperings that it could be Idris Elba, who I think would be great. I think he would be great. So we'll see what happens. But I know 50 will knock it out the park like he always does. So I'm excited to see how that kind of shapes up. It's early in the game, but very excited for that.
Super excited for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for everybody who is just falling in love with you as an author, where can we find you?
You can find me. My official website is aaronphillipclark.com. That's Philip with 1 L. You can also find me on social media at Real APC Books, and that's on Instagram and Twitter as well. And then I'm also on Facebook as Aaron Phillip Clark. So you can find me at those places.
Okay.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Aaron Phillip Clark. Y'all better understand what time it is. Put on time. Thank you again.
Well, thank you. This has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you guys have it. Another episode of Socially Acceptable.